everyone to Family Friendly Circle Time. I want to thank the families that sent in pictures of their rainbow fish from last week, and I would love to take the time now in our share and show portion of Circle Time to share those with everybody out there. Welcome everyone. Now you're here, let's have some fun. We'll read a book and play pretend. We'll do an activity and make some friends. Welcome everyone. I'm so glad that you have come. Today's story we will be reading is called The Day the Crayons Came Home by Drew Daywalt and Oliver Jeffers. Day the Crayons Came Home. One day, Duncan and his crayons were happily coloring together when a strange stack of postcards arrived for him in the mail.
Dear Duncan, not sure if you remember me. My name is Maroon Crayon. You only colored with me once to draw a scab, but whatever. Anyway, you lost me 2 years ago in the couch. Then your dad sat on me and broke me in half. I never would have survived had Paperclip not nursed me back to health. I'm finally better, so come get me. And can Paperclip come too? He's really holding me together. Sincerely, your marooned crayon, Maroon Crayon. No!
Dear Duncan, no one likes peas. No one even likes the color pea green. So I'm changing my name and running away to see the world. Sincerely, Esteban the Magnificent, the crayon formerly known as pea green. Dun 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 dun! Heya, Duncan. It's me, Neon Red Crayon. Remember that great vacation we had with your family? Remember how we laughed when we drew a picture of your dad's sunburn? Remember dropping me by the hotel pool when you left? Clearly you do not, because I'm still here. How could you do this to me? Anyway, after 8 months waiting for you to come and get me, I guess I'm walking back. Your left behind friend, Neon Red Crayon. Duncan, it's us, Yellow and Orange. We know we used to argue over which of us was the color of the sun, but guess what? Neither of us wants to be the color of the sun anymore.
Not since we were left outside and the sun melted us together.
You know, the real color of the sun?
Hot, that's what.
We're sorry for arguing.
You can make green the color of the sun all we care. Just bring us home.
You are not so sunny friends, Yellow
and Orange.
Hey, Duncan, I'm sure you don't recognize me. After the horrors I've been through, I think I was a tan crayon, or maybe burnt sienna. I don't know. I can't tell anymore. Have you ever been eaten by a dog and puked up on the living room rug? Because I have. I have been eaten by a dog and puked up on the rug, Duncan. And it's not pretty. Not pretty at all. I'm more carpet fuzz than crayon now. Can you please bring me back your undigestible friend, Tan, or possibly burnt sienna crayon?
Dear Duncan, I've seen the world. It's rainy. I'm coming back. Esteban the Magnificent.
Hey, Duncan! Remember last Halloween? We told your little brother there was a ghost under the basement stairs? Then we drew that scary stuff on the wall. Sure was funny when he ran screaming, right? But it wasn't so funny when you forgot to take me out of the basement. Please come get me. I'm kind of terribly horrified. Your scared friend, glow-in-the-dark crayon.
Dear Duncan, looks like I'm almost home. Been through China, Canada, and France, I think. Just crossing New Jersey by camel now. New Jersey has giant pyramids, right? See you soon, neon red crayon. P.S. Next up, the North Pole. I think.
Duncan, does page 8 of Pirate Island ring a bell? Kind of a big payday for Captain Greenbeard there, don't you think? And no bronze or silver in that pile, huh? I told you it'd make me blunt if you colored each coin individually. But would you listen? No. I also told you those stupid crayon sharpeners never work. Did you listen to that? Also, no. Now I can't color anything at all. Your pointless friend, Gold Crayon.
This is not fun for me either, you know.
Dear Duncan, I've seen the world. It's rainy. I'm coming back. Esteban the Magnificent.
Hi, Duncan. You're probably wondering why my head is stuck to your sock. A question I ask myself every day. Well, it's because last week you left me in your pocket and I ended up in the dryer. I landed on your sock and now he's stuck to my head. Can you please come and get me? Also, why does everything you wear still smell even after it's washed? Your stinky, socky, stucky on head buddy, turquoise crayon. Tell him I said hi. P.S. Sock says hi.
Dear Mr. Duncan, I know I'm not your crayon. I know I belong to your baby brother, but I can't take him anymore. In the last week alone, he's bitten the top of my head, put me in the cat's nose, drawn on the wall, and tried to color garbage with me. The worst part is, he is a terrible artist. I can't tell what his drawings are. Donkeys, monkeys, donkey monkeys. Picasso said every child is an artist, but I don't know. I don't think he met your brother. Please rescue me. Your desperate friend, Big Chunky Toddler Crayon. Duncan, greetings from the Amazon rainforest. Making great time. I think I'm almost home. Neon red crayon.
Hello, Duncan. It's me, Brown Crayon. You know exactly why I ran away, buddy. Everyone thinks I got all the great coloring jobs. Candy bars, puppies, ponies. Lucky me, right? They didn't know what else you used me to color, do they? I didn't think so. The rest of the drawing was great, but didn't really need that final brown scribble. I'd like to come back, but please, let's stick to candy bars, okay? Your very embarrassed friend, Brown Crayon.
Duncan was sad to learn all of the crayons he'd lost, forgotten, broken, or neglected over the years. So he ran around gathering them up. But Duncan's crayons were all so damaged and differently shaped than they used to be that they no longer fit in the crayon box. So Duncan had an idea. He built a place where each crayon would always feel at home. This one's from my blue period.
It's not really blue. It's more lilac.
There's no dogs down there. Are there?
Oh, you flatter me, but it's not real chocolate.
Who are you wearing?
Oh, I think he goes by Ted.
And then in Cleveland, I got to hike the Great Wall of China.
The end. Hello, and welcome to the activity part of Family Friendly Circle Time. Thank you everybody who sent in pictures of the rainbow fish that they made from last week. That was awesome. And hopefully we get more again to show off at the beginning of our video next week. So today we are going to be doing an activity that incorporates interactive game between you and your child, and also an art activity. And in the spirit of the book that we just read, The Day the Crayons Came Home, we are going to be using crayons as one of our main materials, right? Most people have crayons in their home, lots of them. The nice thing about crayons too is that they're really good for any age. They're awesome. I think sometimes crayons are overlooked. There's so many things you can do with crayons, and so it was hard for me because I was like, oh, what could we do? What could we do? But I chose this activity because it's a really fun way to interact and engage in a game with your child, and also in an art activity together. So you're going to need some crayons, and you'll need a piece of paper for the first part of the activity. The game part of the activity is called Scribble Tag. And it's so much fun. It's really good for probably ages 3 and up. Any younger, 2, 1, younger than that, you're probably not going to play the game. And I'll show you after we do the game how you can adapt this kind of activity for the little ones. So to start, we're going to do the game portion. And it's exactly like a game of tag, except you're not going to be running around and tagging each other. You're going to be using the crayons on the paper to kind of chase each other. So you're going to invite your little one to pick a color, and you, as the parent, are going to pick a color, and you're going to make safety zone. You're going to draw, it could be any shape you want. It could be a square, it could be a circle, it could be a star, you know, just an area that's kind of the home zone, the safe zone, so you can't get tagged when you're in that. And I recommend drawing it somewhere kind of on the edge of the paper. Sometimes it's a little bit tricky if it's in the middle, but hey, if your child puts their safe zone in the middle or takes up a big, huge chunk of the paper, that's okay, just work with it. So I'm going to go ahead and make my safe zone up here. And did you do your safe zone? Okay, I'm just going to show. Okay, so there's an example of the safe zones. So now once this is done, the other thing I recommend is if you are working on a smaller piece of paper, sometimes this game can get kind of wild and you might go off bounds a bit, off the boundary of the paper. So if you're working on a surface that you don't want crayons to get on, I would put something underneath, maybe a sheet of newspaper or a towel or, you know, just something that if you go off limits, you're not going to worry about messing up your surface. You could also work on a really large piece of paper, which would give you lots of space if you're worried about running off the paper. So now comes the fun part. You're going to decide who's going to be it, as in the person chasing. And one rule to this game is you want to make sure that your hands don't lift off of the paper. So when you're playing chase, the crayon has to stay on the paper, okay? So I recommend you start in your safe zone. And then who do you want to be it? Do you want me to be it or do you want to be it?
You can be it.
Okay, so I'll be it first. So I recommend you start in your safe zone and then you count it down. 1, 2, 3, go. I'm gonna get you. Oh. And then the important thing is when they are in safe zone or when you're in your safe zone, the other person can't tag you. So you can't you have to try not to go into their safe zone. That's kind of an important piece of this game. All right. And when they come out again, then you can chase them. Oh, got you. You're it. Now you have to chase me.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, I'm safe. And maybe as you start to play, maybe you want to change colors. So I think we're going to switch colors now. Is that okay with you?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, I'm going to go with, let's see, with a red this time. Okay.
Orange.
All right, so you're still it?
Yes.
All right, ready?
Go.
He's going to get me. No. Oh, you got me. Okay, so now I'm it, and I'm going to chase him.
3, 2.
I'm going down.
I got you.
Let's switch colors again.
Okay, so that's kind of an example. I mean, and you can play this game. Sometimes it might last a few seconds, and sometimes it might last like half an hour. I mean, you can play it as long as you're having fun. And the cool thing is, you're going to end up making this kind of colorful abstract piece. Now, to adapt this activity with, let's say, maybe a 3-year-old or younger, you probably won't get the tag portion part of the game. What you can do is kind of scribble with crayons on your paper. So if your little one is old enough to kind of do some mark making on their own, what you can do is do it with them and kind of copy their style of mark making. So if your baby says make a little scribble, you can go in there and try to kind of copy the same scribble that your little one made. and you kind of go back and forth, and encourage them to maybe change colors so that you end up with a really colorful kind of scribble painting at the end of it. Again, like last week, there's no right or wrong way to do it. And it's really about the process and the mark making, and not necessarily what it looks like. You're developing all kinds of really nice skills, fine motor skills, especially with those little ones when you're doing these kinds of scribble mark making and introducing them to craft activities. If your little one is not at the point where they're kind of independently making marks with the crayons, you can do what we call a hand over hand approach. So you could, babies right from newborn can kind of grasp things in their hand. So you can kind of, get the crayon in your baby's hand and then just gently take your hand and kind of guide their hand on the piece of paper. And, like interact with them. Oh, you're making marks, scribbles. It's purple, and kind of make it fun. Now, if they're not enjoying it and they don't want to engage, don't force them with their hand to do it. But that is an option if they are kind of letting you do it and they're having fun and you're having fun. That would be a way to introduce your young one to mark making. The second part of the activity, which is optional, you definitely can stop at your lovely crayon scribble art. We're going to use some watercolor paint. Okay, and I recommend, it's a really good way to introduce kids to painting. Especially if you get the watercolors, you can find them at Walmart, even the dollar store. Staples has it with the little pucks, these little pucks. They're a nice way to introduce kids to paint that is not as messy as some other versions of painting. The paint's kind of contained in these little areas. If they kind of don't clean their brush in between and the colors get contaminated, it's really easy to clean up, which I'll show you kind of at the end. So I highly recommend you getting, if you're interested in painting and not scared of getting a little bit messy in your home, some watercolor puck paints, kind of like this. So the reason why we're using watercolor with the crayons too is that crayons are made out of wax, and the watercolor paint, the wax will resist the water. So when you paint, we're going to paint just right over top of the crayon, the scribble tag that we did. And the nice thing is the paint will just kind of soak in behind the crayon, and it will not cover it up, which is really cool. And you'll see the effect once we get started. So you're going to need some watercolor paints. If you have them already in your house, great. If not, this might be an activity that you kind of pause. Maybe next time you go out, you pick up some watercolor paints, and then you can continue it after. So you're going to need some watercolor paints. You're going to need some water for kind of cleaning the brush. You're going to need some paintbrushes. Whatever you have in your house will work. If you want to try, now if you're working with a younger one, or I guess an older one, and you just want to kind of contain the mess a little bit and not get it on your table or whatever the surface is, I recommend using a baking tray, a cooking tray, or even like a cardboard box or something with a little bit of a edge to it. Works really well, especially for the little ones, to kind of contain them, because they're going to want to go off the paper. They're not, if they're younger, chances are they're not going to want to stay on the paper. So if they have something like this, then it relieves your worry and they can kind of explore and have fun and learn. So that's an option for you if you want. We will use the tray just for the sake of the demonstration. The other thing we are going to be using, you can just, this is an old jam jar that we filled. You can use a cup in your home to fill with water. Now, these ones are a little bit taller, which is good if you're working with a little bit of an older child. Part of painting with an infant or a little one, like under 3, is that they often will spill the water container if you give them a water container to kind of learn to clean their brush in between. So what I've found over the years of teaching art and things like that, is if you're if you use a container that is lower and smaller, contains a smaller amount of water, it's more successful in, number one, them not spilling it, but number two, if they do spill it, it's not really that big of a deal. It's not that big of a mess because there's not a whole lot of water in it. The reason why it works as far as not spilling is that often little ones, because they're so little, they're trying to reach in over this tall cup or jar, and it just leads to them kind of knocking it over. Whereas if it's a shorter jar, it's easier for them to access, and there's less, and it's closer to the ground, less tipping ability. And another thing to do is keep the water kind of as close as possible to them. So instead of having it way far away where they have to reach, that'll increase the likelihood of it spilling as well. Just some little tips. So we're going to go ahead and we'll just move this. I just wanted to show you that. We'll move and we'll work with this one.
Yeah.
So we'll do that. Some other materials you might want is to have handy, just in case there are a little bit of spills or things like that, is maybe some paper towel. Maybe you have an old rag that you can kind of make your creative art rag that you use with your kids, or something that you don't mind kind of getting wrapped, like something that you don't mind getting paint and stuff on. And just kind of have it with you and have it handy. And then that way, if a little bit of paint does get somewhere or some water does spill, you're kind of ready for the mess right away. You have it prepared. So let's get started with the painting. Now, there's no right or wrong way to do the painting. There's no colors that you have to choose. You're pretty much just going to pick whatever colors you want. Yeah, freestyle. That's exactly. You're going to freestyle it. And you're just going to add paint to your scribble tag drawing. If the one trick is your watercolor paint needs to be quite wet. It needs to be quite watery for it to successfully not cover up the crayon and to kind of have the results that you're wanting. So a good trick, if you're working with really young ones, like I would say 3 or younger, is to have a spray bottle of water and to spray the pucks before you give them their paintbrush. So you just kind of really get a lot of water in each one of those colors, right? So spray it. And then that way when they go in with their paint, it's already nice and watery, and they can just dip it and apply it to the paper. Because not all little ones have learnt to kind of wet their brush first, or kind of continuously clean their brush to get the brush nice and wet, which is what we're needing for this activity. So just give the pucks a quick spray, and that'll fix that. And again, don't worry, especially if they're younger and they're just learning how to paint. You know, they're most likely not going to wash their brush in between each color. So if they start just kind of collecting different colors on their brush, no biggie, let them do it. Go for it. Let them explore. You know, that's what this activity is about. It's about having fun and exploring and learning something new. So it doesn't have to be too tight or, you know, too many rules as far as don't mix your colors and things of that nature. And I'll show you at the end of the video how to kind of clean up the pucks so that the colors are nice and clean when you put it away.
Yeah.
So we're going to go ahead and paint.
Paint time.
So here's an example of our finished abstract crayon drawing, watercolor painting, whatever you want to call it. So we started with our scribble tag, and then we went in with our paint, and now it's kind of transformed into a lovely abstract art piece, which is fun. And you know, it's a good memory of like the fun game that you guys played together while you were making it. So again, I would like to invite you to, now that it's done, to put it up somewhere and display it in your home as a reminder of the fun time that you guys had together. So whether that's on your window or on your fridge, it's up to you. Please, if you guys make a scribble drawing or a scribble tag drawing and painting, please send us your pictures. We would love to share it on our next week's Circle Time. I wanted to quickly show you at the end, if your paint is all kind of mixed up and really watery from, you know, dipping into different colors, it's really simple now to clean it up. What you need is some paper towel, and paper towel definitely works the best. If you don't have paper towel, a little bit of toilet paper will work. I know that's kind of risky during this time, but something that absorbs. So you could use like the paint rag that you got out earlier or whatever, but paper towel definitely works the best. And all you're gonna do is you're gonna take it and you're gonna dab the color. Once you dab that color, you're gonna fold it and you're gonna move on to the next color. Okay, and that's a really good way just to keep your paint nice and clean for the next time you guys want to make art together.
Yeah!
Thank you again for joining us for another family-friendly Circle Time. We had a lot of fun, and we have a lot of fun putting together the stories and the activities to share with you all. So thank you, and we'll see you again next week. Bye!